Hello everyone and welcome back to One Man Stream. Today we're going to start a tutorial series that I kind of previewed in our last tutorial. We're giving a much needed upgrade to our boxing and MMA UTC setup. So this is what we have upcoming for you. Today what we're going to do is we're going to do the graphic build, and I said that I would show you how that we construct one of the graphics, and it will be very easy for you to use these techniques to complete the other graphics in this graphics package. After today we're going to have another tutorial where we're going to set up the Excel spreadsheet, and we'll be using data validation and VLOOKUP to get the information that we want out of that Excel spreadsheet. And then in the third tutorial in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and map the graphics to the Excel spreadsheet, and I'll show you how you do that. And as always, we'll be doing it all step by step so that you'll be able to complete these tasks on your own and build your own production. So today's tutorial is a graphic build in GT Title Designer, and I think this tutorial will be informative even for the beginner person that is just now starting to build their own graphics in GT Title Designer up to someone who's been using GT Title Designer for a while and has a pretty good grasp on it. I'm going to show you some animation techniques today that's going to make the graphic a little bit spicier for you. So let's go ahead and we'll bring up the graphic. And this is what the graphic looks like in GT Title Designer. And you can see here we have a mesh background, we have red fighter, we have blue fighter, we have the stats for red fighter, stats for blue fighter, including their gem. And then in the middle here we have these different criteria, record, age, height, weight, and gem. And if you look over here to the left where I'm pointing right here on layer 2, you can see these eyeballs. And you can turn off the individual layers, or you can turn off the individual items within those layers. And this is where we're going to start first. We're actually going to start on layer 2. So let's go ahead and turn off layer 1 and layer 3. Now, the way this works with GT Title Designer, you can think of it as piling stuff on top of each other. So right here where I'm pointing where it says large mesh, this is going to be the bottom layer, and all these items above it are stacked upon this first layer, which is large mesh. Well, how did we start off with this large mesh? Well, what I did is I came over here to image, I clicked on image, I clicked here to where it said large mesh, and then I click open. And it's going to pull it in. You can see it right here. And then all I did is I grabbed these edges and I stretched it out until I had it the size that I wanted. I centered it. And then if you click on the blue menu bar right here, you can use your arrows to do the fine adjustment. And that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn on this right bar. And you can see the right bar over here. So how did we make that? Well, we came up here to where it says rectangle, and we drew out a rectangle like this. And then we're going to put a gradient in this rectangle. So we're going to go up here under fill color, we're going to click on gradient, and we're going to click this add stop button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go ahead and space these out. Now on these end pieces, we're going to make these black. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to click the 3 dots and select black. I'm going to click the one to the far right, click on the dots, select black. And then I'm going to go to the next inner ones, click on this, and I'm going to take this color gray right here. Do the same thing on this one. Choose that same color gray. And then the next 2 most inner ones, we'll choose this color gray. And then for the last one, we'll make it this light color gray right here. And we'll click apply. Well, if you look at it right now, this doesn't give us what we want. We have this light line right here in the middle, and then we have, you can see the black here at this end, the black here at this end, and that's not really what we want. So what we need to do is we're going to have to change the angle of our gradient. So right here where it says 90, let's go ahead and change this to 45. And click apply. And now see right here where these 2 arrows connect. If I hold down my control key and I move my mouse you can see where that changes. Well, let's make this just a little bit smaller. Let's make this about 480. Grab the menu bar and slide it down, and you can see we have about the same thing there. So now all I would do is I'd click on the menu bar. I would use my arrow keys. Oops, wrong way. I would use my arrow keys to bring it over here and put it in position. And I just noticed it's not totally vertical, so let's go ahead and make it a pure 90. So then after I get it in this spot right here, I would change the name of it from rectangle 1 to right bar, and then I would right click and copy and right click and paste. That's going to give me rectangle 2, or I'm going to change the name of this to left bar. We're going to bring this guy all the way over here to the other side. And once we get it in position, you can see where we now have a left bar and a right bar, and that's how we made those two elements. The next thing that we need to turn on is the blue bar, and you can see it's a very thin line here. We did the exact same thing. We came over here, we clicked on rectangle, made us a very thin bar. Then we went to home, changed the color to blue, went back to where these arrows converge, held down our control key, spun it on in. And we want to make sure under format that we're indeed 90, and we are. And then we used our menu, we clicked on the menu bar, used our arrow keys, and then we put that in position. Once we had that in position, all I did was highlight the bar, right click and copy, right click and paste, and that gave us the red bar. So initially it comes up blue. We go back up here to under home, under fill, and we change that blue bar. We would change that to red. And that's how we got these two these small highlight bars here at the end. We're going to go ahead and turn on layer 3. Now layer 3 are all these items right here in the middle. And layer 3 was actually very quick to make, and I'll show you why. What we do is we come up here to rectangle, click on rectangle, come over here and make us a rectangle. Now we'll just use this one for demonstration purposes. Then I'm going to come over here under format, and we're going to give it a radius of 10 on both X and Y. And you can see how it rounds over and softens those corners. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to home, we're going to go to color, we're going to go to gradient, and then we're going to add those stops in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make both endpoints black. Then we're going to make these next inner endpoints this red color right here. And then we're going to make these this red color, which you can see they're already set up for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this middle one, and I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit. So we'll leave it about right there, and we're going to click apply. Now you can see once again we have the orientation this way, and we want to make it more of a 45. So we're going to go back over here under angle, and we're going to change this to 45. Click OK. And I really don't like the way that looks. It's too stark with that black there. I want to have that softened up. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to move these a little bit closer to those black endpoints and hit apply. And you can see how it softens up those edges when we do that. The next component we need to add is we need to add this border. So we're going to click on here, we're going to click on white, then we're going to give that border about a 3. And that looks pretty good. So then all we would have to do is we would name this one visitor background, which is what I named this original one. And then we would right click and copy and right click and paste. Then we'll use our arrow keys to bring it down. We would name this one record background, which is what I named this one right here. And it all shows up as a layer because I have them all combined in a layer. So I would do the same thing for age, weight, and gem. I would just right click on it and copy, and then right click on it and paste. And I would do that until I had all 6 of these that I need. So then let's go back, and how do you add the text to it? Well, that's very simple. You go up here to ABC, you click on that, then we're going to draw us out a little box, and we are going to center it in the middle left to right and in the middle up and down. And we are going to change the fill color of that text to white. I use I don't know how to pronounce that, but I use this font right here. So we're going to do the same thing just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to click on this, go ahead and make it bold, or make it demi-bold. Double click on that text. We're going to change it to verse. Let's click on it and center it a little bit better. We're going to click on the menu bar here that says text block 1. Then we're going to use our arrow keys. And we kind of like that right there. So then what we would do is we would name this visitor text. Then we would right click and copy, and right click and paste. Then we're going to use our arrow keys, bring it down. And one thing I'm going to do on this one that I should have done on the first one is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on shrink. And that way, if I use wording in here that's going to be a little bit longer, it's going to keep it confined inside this box. So I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to type in record. And you can see how when it got to the edge of that box, it made the text a little bit smaller. I would change this where it says text block 2 right here. I would change it to where it says record text. I would change it to this right here. Now all I would do at this point is I would just right click and copy and right click and paste, and then I would change the wording of it to age. I would copy and paste again. I would change that wording to height, copy and paste again, change that wording to weight, copy and paste again, and change that wording to gem. So now we have our main background elements. We have the large mesh, we have the bars on the left and right, and then we also have the color bars, which will designate the red fighter and blue fighter. Now let's go ahead and bring in the next row. I'm sorry, the next layer. And that's going to bring in red fighter and blue fighter, and it's going to bring in the rest of these statistics right here. So these are made very much the same way. The first thing that I would do is I would click on the text block. I would have come in here. I would have made me a little text block. I would center the text in the middle, left to right and up and down. I would double click on the text and change it to white. I would use that same text, that same font. I'm gonna make this one extra bold. And then this one right here that says text block 1, I would change the name of this text block 1, and you do it right here. I just double clicked in there. I typed in blue fighter, and I can't have it the same, so I'll just call this blue fighter demo. So now when I click on it, you see where it says blue fighter demo. So then I would just I can either grab it right here and move it around, or you can use the arrow keys like we've done before, and I would just bring it up here and position it where I wanted it. Once I had that one, I would right click and copy and right click and paste. You can see we're at the end, it puts a digit. Anytime you copy and paste, it's going to add a digit to the end of it. And you can see where it changed to Blue Fighter Demo 1. Then I would go and I would change this to Blue Fighter Record, like it's reflected right here, Blue Rec. And then I would just click on the menu bar, use the arrow keys, bring it down here. And then I would just continue to copy and paste. Then I would change this one to age. I would change this one to height. I would change this one to weight, and I would change this one to gem. And then we would do the exact same thing. What I would do on this one here, let's go back to Blue Fighter Demo. I would right click and copy and right click and paste. You see where this changes to 2. What I would do is I would change this one to Red Fighter Demo. And then I would grab the menu bar, bring it over here, use the arrow keys to fine adjust it, and then I would do the same thing I did on the right hand side. Right click copy, right click paste. I'll do it one more time. And then I would change this to red rec and use the arrow keys. Click on the menu bar, then use the arrow keys and bring it down. And I would name this one red rec, just like we did right here. I would continue to right click and copy and right click and paste and use my arrow keys until I had a text field for each one of these. And then that's going to complete this portion of the graphic. Okay, so now that's the entire graphic, but you can see when I click this button right here, it's going to bring in the animation. Let's go ahead and click it one more time. And you can see what happens. This first layer, which is actually, or the most bottom layer, which is actually layer 2, it comes out first. So let's see what the animation is on that layer. So we're going to go up here under animation, and you can see there's no delay because we want this to come in first. We want this to come in as a reveal, and we're going to have a duration of 1/2 of a second. Now, under here, you can decide how it comes in. You can bring it in from either any of these positions or from the middle. When you bring it in from the middle, you can have it expand from both axes, the X and Y, or you can choose just X or Y, and that's what I did. I chose the X axis so it'll start in the middle and then expand out towards the edges. So let's go ahead and do that. See how that works? One more time. Starts in the middle, expands out toward the edges. So you'll notice the next thing that comes in is the middle column here that has the verse, record, age, height, weight, and gem. And you can see how it spins around. So let's take a look at those. So let's look at verse background right here. We're going to go up here. We're still under animations. You can see where we have a rotate. We have a delay of a half a second. Well, why do we have that delay? Well, we have that delay because it takes a half a second for that first layer to play out. So once this first layer plays out, then we're going to start working with this layer. We're going to do a rotate. We do a rotate from the left side, and what I have selected right now is the visiting background. So you'll notice that we rotate and then we bring the wording in. So let's see under visiting text what we have here. Okay, now you can see that we have a zoom, and then we have a delay of 0.75. The reason for the 0.75 delay, it took a half a second for this to play out, and then it takes a 1/4 of a second for this to rotate. So we're going to have a 3/4 of a second delay, and then we want this zoom to play out over 0.25 seconds. We do the exact same thing. Record background, you can see that's a half second delay and a duration of a 1/4 of a second. Age background, same thing, half second delay, 1/4 duration. Height background, half a second delay, 1/4 duration. Weight background, half a second delay, 1/4 duration. Gem background, half a second delay, 1/4 duration. Now, let's look at text again. For the text, we had a 3/4 of a second delay and a 1/4 of a second duration. Let's see about age. A record text would be the next one. Same thing, 3/4 of a second delay, a 1/4 of a second duration. Next one would be age. Same thing, the 0.75 and 0.25. Height text, same thing, 0.75, 0.25. Notice all of them are zoom. And then weight text, 0.75, 0.25. Again, zoom. So let's go ahead and set that in motion again. Now, after this comes in, you'll see where the red fighter expands going from right to left. Blue fighter expands going left to right. And then the remainder of these elements are going to reveal down. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at red fighter first. So red fighter, we have a 1 second delay. The reason for that is we had a half a second delay here. We had a 1/4 second delay on these two elements to play out. That gives us a second delay. And then we're going to do this delay at a half a second, and we're going to have it reveal from the right going to the left. Now for blue fighter, The delay is going to be the same, the duration is going to be the same, but except this time you can see that the reveal is going from left to right. And then you can see the rest of these elements. So let's click on Blue Fighter Record. Now you can see we're up to 1.5 seconds delay because we added a 0.5 second for the play out of Blue Fighter. See? We're going to do this duration the same, and we're going to have this reveal from the top. And we're going to go ahead with the rest of these elements. You can see the same thing, a reveal from the top, 1.5 second delay, 0.5 second duration, same thing, 1.5 second delay, 0.5 second duration, reveal from the top. Now we're under wait, reveal from the top, 1.5 second delay, 0.5 second duration, and the exact same thing for Jim. Let's flip over to the other side and take a look at Red Fighter. Again, we have a reveal, and it's from the top. All of these items here underneath the fighter name, these are all going to be revealed from top to bottom. So we have the same 1.5 second delay, 0.5 second duration with the reveal from the top. Same thing for age, reveal from the top, same duration. Height, same thing, reveal from the top. Weight, same thing. And then for the Jim, same thing. Okay, now let's go ahead and play that graphic out. We'll take it out. Then we'll bring it in one last time. Okay, the next thing that we would have to do is we would have to bring the data source in, and then we would have to map that data source. Well, that's going to be the topic of another tutorial. But the way that you would do it, and I have other tutorials that show how to bring a data source, specifically an Excel data sheet, into VMix. You would come down here and you can see, let me turn that off for just a second. You can see right here the hamburger menu. If you click on the hamburger menu, it's going to bring up Data Source Manager. And I don't have anything under this text one. Let's go ahead and get rid of that one. So the only one I have active now is the Excel spreadsheet. And let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and maximize it. And you can see the Excel spreadsheet. And this is what we are going to cover in our next tutorial, how to create this spreadsheet and how to map this spreadsheet to our graphic. Go back under settings. You'll notice right here where I check this box, it says use first row as column names. The reason that I do that is so that I have this right here. And this is going to give me the information that I need when we're doing the mapping later on. See where this says fight number 1, red fighter Jim, red fighter record, blue fighter Jim, and so forth. This is the main page. You might remember from the preview, there's more than one page here. Here's the fighters page. And again, we have this first row as column names. This is going to give us date of birth, age, height, Jim, record, weight. The next one is sponsors. This gives us a list of the sponsors. And then this is the VMix data. This is the information that we use when we're doing data validation to create the lists. So this is going to be our main focus. In our next tutorial, we're going to create this. But for right now, I just wanted to show you this right here where it says first row is column names. This is the information that we're going to be using for mapping the data source. So now let's go to Blue Fighter Text. We're going to click on this. Excel CSV, main, Blue Fighter. Click OK. You can see where it brings in Cameron Young. When I click OK, you can see where Cameron Young is now going to be reflected under Blue Fighter. Remember, we have this blue line here. That gives us an indication of Blue Fighter over here, Red Fighter over here. The last one I'm going to show you today is Red Fighter because we're going to cover this in detail in our next tutorial. So we're going to do Red Fighter, Data Source, Excel CSV, Main, Now we're looking for Red Fighter. We're going to click on that. It brings in Aaron. When we click OK, you'll see Aaron reflected right here. So that's going to take us through what I wanted to cover. When we started the tutorial off today, we went with the rundown of this tutorial series, and you can see today was the graphic build. In our next tutorial, we are actually going to develop and build the Excel spreadsheet. And then in the third and final tutorial in this series, we're going to show you how to map the graphics to the Excel data source. This was One Man Stream, episode 117, Graphic Build in GT Title Designer. I hope you find these tutorials informative, and I hope you're able to come away each time with something new, something that you didn't know previously. Make sure that you do give us a thumbs up and a like. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, and then that way you'll be alerted as soon as new videos are posted. If you get a chance, please stop by our One Man Stream online store. That's where we have all the graphics that we've created throughout this tutorial series, as well as the VMix UTC controllers. As always, thank you so much.